of a guitar god, and Jimmy Vivino really is a guitar god. He's just a consummate artist. And you think of them just effortlessly soloing. And when you think of Jimmy Page or Jimi Hendrix, they're not even looking down at the fretboard, and they're pure orgasmic bliss as they play their instrument. Jimmy has all that skill, but when he plays, he's down here and his eyes are big like Harpo Marx, and he's looking down and he's kind of worried looking. He looks kind of like this guitar is going to get away from me any second if I don't keep up with it. And it's so funny because you're looking at him and you're thinking like, the sound is amazing, and I know he's completely proficient. He's down there, he's looking and he's trying to keep up. Whoa, hold on, I think I got this.
Hello, and welcome to this episode of Documenting Reality, brought to you by the Documentary Channel. I'm your host, Fred Rutman, and today I'm here to speak with Barry Rubinow. Barry is a vice president of something at the Documentary Channel. He's also a director and a producer and editor, and does, I guess, when you're a documentary maker, you have to really do everything, don't you?
Yeah, depending on your budget, but a lot of us do a lot,
Mhm.
wear a lot of hats. We wear a lot of hats. My main background is as an editor. I started as an editor or assistant editor way back in the 80s on film, when everything was still on film before digital existed. And but I'm one of the few people, I actually miss working on film.
Mhm.
It was slower, but it was what we call a craft. I mean, it was something that you had to learn as be an apprentice and learn from someone and take the time. And it gave you time to think as you were doing it. Now, with just clicking on a mouse, or with everything being digital, it's almost too fast. Yeah, so I was started as assistant editor, moved up to editor. The first film I edited, Tom Neff directed, was called Red Groom's Sunflower in a Hothouse, about an artist named Red Grooms, New York artist. And I get a phone call, a couple months after we finished it, that it was nominated for an Oscar for documentary short. And I was like, wow, this Hollywood thing is easy.
Mhm.
Boy, as I always say, boy, was I wrong.
Mhm.
But so that was very exciting. The most
Mhm.
exciting thing actually was going 2 weeks before the actual awards is they have a luncheon called the Nominees Luncheon, and Tom was nice
Mhm.
enough to invite me to that. A lot of the Academy members who are not necessarily nominated, but are there just sort of ambassadors. So like Gregory Peck was there, and Jack Lemmon, and all
Mhm.
these Hollywood, and we were just like, I was still fairly new to the industry. This is like 85. So
Mhm.
that was very, very exciting. And then going to the awards, of course, was very exciting too, although we didn't win, but as they say, it's an honor to be nominated.
Sure.
And then I worked on a lot of other shows. One other notable show was a children's science show called Beekman's World, which was a Saturday morning show on CBS back when, they actually had really good shows on Saturday mornings for kids. It was a kids science show, and I won an Emmy for that. I was nominated like 3 times and won once. So that was very exciting, and that was a
That's pretty
fantastic.
cool.
And then Tom Neff started the documentary channel. Took him a long time. The joke there is that he would call me up like in March and go, "You're going to start in the fall."
Mhm.
I'm like, "Great." And then he'd call me up like in September or October. "You're going to start in the spring." I'm like, "Great." And that would just go on year after
Mhm.
year. But eventually it actually happened. I started in the fall of '05, and worked on it until I was pretty much the last one there when it got bought out in 2013. So it was a good 8, 9 year run, and very proud of a lot of the work we did there. So you were talking about my title. When I was there, my title was Senior VP of Creative Services.
Mhm.
And now he just calls me head creative. So I was basically in charge of promos. I mean, it was a very small company, very small
Mhm.
company. So everybody wore a lot of hats. We were talking about a lot of hats before, but so I was in charge of promos.
Love the film you just saw? You can find it for sale in our online doc store. Hip Hop Immortals, next on the Documentary Channel.
I was in charge of branding. I was in charge of original shows. We had 2 or 3 original shows, the main one being a show called Doc Talk, which was basically what you're doing now, interviewing documentary filmmakers.
Documentary is reality.
It is, in a sense, the drama of everyday life. It's the heroism of ordinary things.
If you really want to see some super compelling narratives, you should be watching documentary.
It was great fun. I mean, that was a dream job working on that. To be, first of all, working in documentaries is a dream job for anyone. They're almost all, I'm talking about real independent documentaries now. I mean, there's a lot of, they call reality shows documentaries, but I'm talking about real independent documentaries. They're almost all labors of love. I mean, they're almost all somebody who really believes in this subject and wants to get the film made, and sometimes takes years, if not decades. In fact, Tom and I are working on trying to finish one now that he started shooting in 2003.
And whereas one such individual is Clemmy Greenlee of Nashville, a remarkable individual who has overcome harrowing obstacles to become one of the country's leading advocates for families of murder victims and survivors of the sex trade.
Frankie and Johnny was sweethearts. Oh Lord, how they did love.
Starting in 8th grade, I started making little films, and I've continued to do that through my life, and started on Super 8. I made a little 5-minute film called Max and the Dragonfly about our dog we used to have, who used to chase this dragonfly around our pool. It was a really cute little 5-minute film, got into actually quite a number of film festivals and had some success. And then I made a much bigger film, a feature documentary called Banded Together, The Boys from Glen Rock High.
I feel like it's Brigadoon. That's what Glen Rock is. The clouds part and Glen Rock appears.
Everybody!
So I grew up in Glen Rock, New Jersey, and amazingly, in my grade and a few grades around me, there were all these incredibly talented musicians, all of whom went on to great success.
When we see each other, we know we're older. When we think of each other, we're 18. And it's unbelievable.
We would play. We would just get together and play. It wasn't, let's play video games. It was let's play music.
Well, I think for a lot of us, waking up in the morning and knowing that we were going to go to school and see our friends and play music was huge. It literally transforms lives.
It gives you confidence. It gives you a sense of being able to express yourself, being able to communicate with other people, maybe open up a warmer part of your insides, to share with people. All the necessary tools you need to carry on to whatever you want to do in life.
Jimmy Vivino, he was Conan's band leader for 25 years.
Who's Conan?
Conan O'Brien?
Kidding.
Yeah, and I interviewed Conan in the film. He was very gracious, did a fantastic, very funny interview.
But I told you 5 times it's not that. Yeah.
Watching Jerry and Jimmy sort through their stuff at rehearsal, they speak this language. They don't even have to finish sentences with each other. Jimmy gets impatient and says, No, no, no. It's on the three. It's on the three. You're not hitting it on the three. It's a flat on the three, and then and Jerry would be like, no, 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 no. It's not on the three. And they'll get into it, and I'll think, oh my God, I am witnessing something that played out in 1957 in a tiny room somewhere while their mother was making sauce downstairs.
That's what the film is about. These 8 guys and their mentor, their high school music teacher, who's in his 80s but still going strong, and he's a big part of the film. Some people have called it like similar to Mr. Holland's Opus.
Yeah. 3.
We all got trained under his baton, and he never told us we were good or great or excellent or nice. He just looked and gave us a little nod of the head, and that meant more than 1,000 words.
It was almost like going to the cool room. Yeah, baby, we're gigging. Here we are. We're 17, and we're with Mr. Sealski.
He appreciated who we were, so it made you walk a little taller.
You were teaching us how to be musicians, professional creatives. That's what we were all getting out of it.
They had a fantastic relationship, and it's a really nice story, which is currently on the documentary channel, documentarychannel.com, $1.99, and you can see it along with a bunch of other really good films.
So is there anything that was like maybe hammered's not the right word I'm looking for when you were in film school, and as you've become more and more successful and recognized as an industry professional, what they told you just doesn't match with the reality of what you have to do? Because we all learn theory. Like you go to MBA school, you learn finance theory, marketing theory, and a lot of it's just not true.
Absolutely. And that's a really excellent question. In a way, I think that's less so with film school, because you mainly make films, and either as a director or a cameraman or a sound man or an editor or a production person, and then, show them and get critiqued. And there are some rules they teach, so I should say quote unquote rules, which are good and most people follow. Obviously, actually with the start of well, I don't want to get too much into film history, but the French New Wave, like Jean-Luc Godard, actually started really breaking a lot of the rules, like jump cuts and things like that. And then MTV took it to a new level. And, now with YouTube, whatever, nobody cares about any of that stuff anymore. But it's like with art. I'm not a fine artist, but from what I've read and heard and talked to artists, they say you got to learn the right way, so that when you break the rules, you kind of know the rules that you're breaking. So I think it is important to learn the right way to make films, and or the more established kind of Hollywood way, I guess. And USC was kind of famous for that. USC was more the industry school, as opposed to UCLA was more the independent school, where they encouraged you to be more, on your own. So, yeah, to try to answer your question, they did teach rules or guidelines that I think were good. And one anecdote in terms of that, in terms of the business of it, we were all kind of pissed off because your first day there, when we first started, this guy gets up there who was the head of the department. I didn't know at the time, obviously, and just started like berating us. Like, who do you think
one of
you
those.
are? You think you're going to make it in this industry, blah, blah, blah. And we're all like, we just got here from, wherever. Well, most of us were from out of the state. why are you yelling at us, But when I
Mhm.
look back on it now, it actually wasn't that dumb a thing to do because it is a really hard industry to make it in. And it's better that he did that than he goes, you guys are going to knock him dead. You're all going to be directing big Hollywood movies. And because the percentage who do that is really, really small. I mean, it's like one guy out of every 3, 4 years, you get a
Mhm.
Zemeckis or obviously Lucas, or there was a Phil Joannou or Kevin Reynolds, whatever. There's been quite a few very successful directors come out of USC Film School, but not, a very, very tiny percentage. And that's one of the reasons why I picked editing. A, because I really liked it. I really like working quietly by myself as opposed to I've never really enjoyed being on the set as much.
Mhm.
But also, I wanted to eat,
Mhm.
and I wanted to work. I wanted to get paid, and most people there wanted to be, I remember one class, the at the beginning of the class, the teacher went around, "What do you want to do?" I'd say 80 to 90% writer director, writer director, writer director, and I was one of the few who said editor, or somebody wanted to be a cameraman because I think I was smart. I mean, I I did end up making a living as an editor. So,
Mhm.
um,
Do you keep in touch with any of your your schoolmates, or
oh,
ever come across
absolutely,
them?
absolutely. Well, Tom, obviously,
Mhm.
I would say not only Tom, but a lot because I worked a lot of jobs um, other than Tom's films, and I would say 70 to 80% of them came from USC film grads. We call it the USC Cinema Mafia. And I'm a very much a card carrying member. I keep very much in touch. In fact, we're going to be getting together this weekend.
Oh,
And
nice.
yeah, yeah, no, that was the best thing about it. Well, obviously making films, like I said, getting that hands-on experience, but just the camaraderie and just learning from the other students. And I miss that now. Like all the films I work on now, I'm here in my house, and you send people
Mhm.
cuts on YouTube or Vimeo or whatever, and at film school we were all in this room together. They called it the
Mhm.
bullpen. All the moviolas where we edited, and you'd cut a scene and you'd call somebody over and go, "Hey, take a look at this. What do you think?"
So I touched on this a bit when I was talking with Chris Metzler. I'm sure you know Chris.
Yeah, yeah, I know Chris. Yeah.
And because you're on the editing side, I asked him about like how technology has changed the jobs. And you can make a Blair Witch Project film on a camera now on your phone versus that. How much has that changed filmmaking? Like that people are making, 20-minute films on GoPros and stuff like that.
Oh, it's changed it. I don't even know how to say it. It's changed it just in a huge, huge way. Like I started to talk about before about how when there was only film, I mean, when I
Mhm.
started, there wasn't really even video. I mean, video existed, but small cameras that you could go out and shoot video, like VHS and Betamax, didn't exist yet. Um, so really a specialized thing. You had to know how to load a camera to shoot. You had to take it to a film lab. You had to know how to use a moviola to edit or a flatbed. I mean, it was a really specialized skill. And
Mhm.
now, like you said, everybody who has a phone can be a filmmaker, and they are. I mean, that's what TikTok is, right? And
Mhm.
uh, is people uploading videos and in terms of films, just the amount of films is staggering because of that. And I'm talking about films, not just little even TikTok or YouTube clips, but real
Mhm.
films is just exploded, and the amount of film festivals has exploded because
Mhm.
you and I could start a film festival tomorrow, call it the Dead Man Film Festival, and I
So
guarantee you
cool.
we'd get what?
That would be so cool.
I guarantee you we would get thousands of submissions just because there's so many people out there who want their film to be seen, and it's so hard. Back in the first iteration of the documentary channel, there were two people who did acquisitions, and two women, and in their office was literally floor to ceiling. That was back in the day when DVDs were how you got things seen and got things passed around, as opposed to online. And they literally had floor to ceiling DVDs. And this is, 2008, 27, long, 15, 17 years ago. And most of them, they said, would be happy to put it on the channel for zero, for nothing. They just wanted to get them seen. And so that's what was going on then. And now it's just even more. So that's the challenge now is getting eyeballs on your project, because it's a challenge for everybody. I'm sure you trying to get eyeballs on this podcast is not easy. You gotta whatever, I don't want to get into marketing and all that, but it's changed everything.
Well,
I
thankfully,
can't
the
really say if
documentary
they're the
channels.
better or not. I would say not, but you can't stop it.
Yeah. Fortunately for this, the documentary channel's handling the marketing. So
Oh,
don't have to
okay.
worry about that.
Well, then you're in good hands.
Yeah.
Just to end on a more positive note, filmmaking is hard. It's hard to make a living. It's hard to make money. It's hard to get your film seen, but it's just, I find it, I really love it, and I think it's all worthwhile. And if it's something you want to do, I say go for it.
And people can use you as a reference now.
Yeah. My number is, no.
Yeah.
No, go to documentary channel. You can reach me that way.
Okay, that was what I was going to ask. If somebody has, the next greatest movie they need edited, how do they get a hold of you?
Well, let me give out my website. I have a website for the movie I talked about, Banded Together. It is bandedtogethermovie.com. bandedtogethermovie.com. And if you go to the contact there, you can email me there. That would be the best way.
Okay, and I'll get a cut of whatever you make.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We
Okay.
can discuss percentages later.
Yeah, somewhere between 0 and 0, I'm guessing. Anyway, we almost are out of time, so I'd like to thank you. And thank you to everybody who's tuned in to Documenting Reality. And please like, share, subscribe,